Welcome to the podcast. We have Antoine Jennings and Cathy DeShower with the founders of Crossover Mission. You guys do such a great thing, and I can't wait to show the world and everyone listening what you guys do.
Thank you.
So, Cathy, well, I don't know how you want to start it. Do you want to talk about the organization as a whole, like what it is that we do in the community? Or
You want me to say that?
I think you're probably the best for it.
Okay, so we are a basketball training organization that trains in basketball from youth ages, sixth grade through senior year and beyond, after high school as well. It's an alumni program that's supporting kids. We train the kids in basketball, and we provide one-on-one academic support. And this year we've had a little over 100 kids and about 29 alumni.
Is that the most kids you guys ever had at once this past year?
It is.
Yeah, I'll say roughly around, it can go as high as about 150. And then we have the mentoring, which is a large part of what we do, and field trips and travel ball and stuff like that, just to add in extra level to get the kids excited and feel like the work that they're investing is worth the effort.
So not only do you guys train them in basketball, you guys tutor them, help them with tutoring, and then you also have AAU, which is like travel ball. You guys build a team and you guys go play other teams.
Yeah. So our primary focus is to get the kids academically successful, to help them get on grade level, make sure they're passing and having a true opportunity to get into college. So we have a college and career readiness program that they are automatically enrolled into in their freshman year. Then we focus a lot in basketball on training and fundamentals, strengthening and conditioning, really to help them reach their goals, which is most of them is they want to play on the school basketball teams, or whether it's recreational basketball or whatever their goal is. Our goal is to help prepare them for that. And then we have, our in-house travel ball teams, which we will play AAU or EYBOL or whatever it is that's close within our reach, so we can just give them more on the court experience and opportunities. And then we have our cool field trips, like our Division I camps, where the kids have to earn their way to be able to go to those. Those are usually a week long. They get an opportunity to stay in the dorms, be coached by the college players or the assistant coaches, and have an opportunity to meet and be away from their parents. So those are kind of the field trips and cool things that we do along the way. So
you said they usually have to earn it. Like, how is that judged upon?
So we have what we call our 4 A's, which is attitude, academics, attendance, and athletics. So we weigh those at school. So we have access to their student portal, which is called Focus here in River County, where we get to track their grades, their referrals, their tardiness, whatever. And so that's kind of how we weigh them to make sure that they're improving. And then the same thing happens at crossover. So we want to make sure that obviously school is first. What happens at crossover is second. We're a support system for them. And then the third level to that would be, parent engagement. So if they're not honoring even what's happening at the household, and, the parents are the ones that are investing and supporting them, then, they have a say-so in what the kids can attend and participate in as well.
And is there a fee for the kids to join crossover, or how does that work?
It's $150 per session or per season, however you determine that. We have 3 sessions per school year. First one is August to mid-November. Mid-November to mid-February is session 2, and the third one is mid-February to the end of the school year. And then we have a summer session, $150 per session.
Okay, that sounds really affordable. It's pretty much year-round.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you guys go about getting tutors? Do you choose them, or do they kind of come to you, and where are they coming from?
So we have staff members, which we have certified teachers on staff. We have 2 certified teachers right now, and we have volunteers. So in a given year, we could have 65 volunteers.
Wow.
And it's a whole range of people coming from different walks. Some come from my church. That's where many of them have come originally and are still with us. They're coming from the school district, from businesses, people who want to give back, and they come. And what we do is called academic mentoring. So it's not just tutoring. It's coming down, sit one-on-one with a student, and you drill, like Antoine said, you drill into the school portal and you look at the grade lineup, and you can sit with the student and say, oh, I see you're got a C in math, or what's going on? Let's see. Oh, you're missing 2 assignments. What's going on with that? Oh, it's in your backpack. Pull it out. Let's see. And then tutoring to help them. And if that particular mentor doesn't know how to tutor that math, we have a math specialist who's there as well. So it's more than just tutoring. It's sort of holding accountability and really getting interested in the student, getting to know them, and not just saying, oh, you have a C, but hey, you have an A there too, right?
Yeah.
So the volunteers, I would say we need more volunteers always. We're always looking, especially for those people that are willing to commit to 1 or 2 days a week. It's an hour to an hour and a half per day. It's not a huge commitment, but it is, if you want to really connect with a student and match with that student and have a long-term relationship, that's where you make the most gains for the student, is when they have a relationship over time that they can trust and begin to really open up and even talk about test scores and get involved with the parents, get to know, and it's a closer relationship. So that's the ultimate goal, is to really build those one-on-one relationships.
And you said you guys also have like business people come in and kind of show them like basketball is not the only way to make it, and there's other options like being a basketball coach or a trainer, or even opening up like a basketball store or gym. Like there's a ton of ways out there, and I'm sure you guys showcase that by having other business owners come on and help out and just give their kind of peace of mind as well, right?
Yeah.
So, we have people that, ironically, we have people that come in from all walks of life. You have retired teachers, you have, new teachers that are coming into the field, you have business owners, you have, people that have played basketball. So there's just so many people are trying to give back in many different ways. And some people are better mentors than their academics, and some people want to focus on academics. And so it's kind of how we got into the term of academic mentor, is just really just trying to find the right fit for each particular student and trying to figure out, where their needs are. Some students are doing bad, academically, but it's not because they're not capable, it's because they just need somebody to stay on them to help them keep the structure. And so, finding a niche, and then, the right tutor for the kid and the right kid to match, I shouldn't say tutor, academic mentor. So.
And crossover mission has been a thing for 11 years now.
11 years.
I'd love to hear how you guys met.
Interesting story. I guess to sum it up is I was at a pivotal point in my life where I was just coming out of a lot of chaos. And I was in a place where, God had blessed me to walk away from a couple of different things. And the final thing was, me just literally being face down, being robbed by 3 men wearing ski masks. And I felt like that was definitely a sign from God that the issues in my life were climaxing. And to walk away from a situation like that, to just be that close where I had no control, no opportunity to fight back, and just really just at somebody else's mercy, and having, and in a situation like that, I don't know, 30 seconds can feel like 5 minutes. But just to have those thoughts racing to my mind, like I've just made so many horrible mistakes, and and I was failing so many different people in my life that I ultimately thought I was helping, and I just felt inspired or inclined to give back, and I had to start within my own household, which was with my own kids, and starting with my son. I had 2 kids at the time. My daughter was very small; she was just a couple of months, but my son, and then at the time, she was my girlfriend. I hadn't married her, and we had spent, a lot of years together. So I decided to get married, and I wanted to start this whole program called Crossover Mission, which I was gonna tell my life story and talk about my shortcomings and my pitfalls, and just try to redirect kids, just give them the guidance and support and structure that I thought would help them to be successful in life, and then use basketball as a tool to do that. And that was just a plan or a thought that I had in my mind because I didn't even know where to begin in terms of executing that. And it wasn't until I put my son in recreational basketball and I was just trying to help him out all the time. And I would always sit close to the court and just give him pointers and stuff like that. And we talked before the game and after the game. And the parents would always say, you should be coaching, or, and why aren't you the coach? And I'm like, I don't coach kids, And it just didn't weigh, versus what I wanted to do versus what I saw myself doing. And it wasn't until I met this little one white kid on the basketball court. He'd have all the custom Nikes, and he cut his hair like sometimes like I figured like the black kids, and he had parts and stuff. And I just thought he was a really good player, and like that was really like the highlight of our season was to watch my son and this kid play. And we didn't know his name, and so we just named him White Chocolate after Jason Williams, who was in the NBA. He kind of reminded me of him, and lo and behold, this kid, White Chocolate, was Louis the Shower, and Louis the Shower had this idea that he wanted me to train him in basketball, and I didn't know Cathy at the time. I had met her, but my wife and Cathy would start to talk a little bit more over the course of the time that they're in the rec league. And all of a sudden, Cathy has this idea that she wants me to train Louis in basketball. And I just want nothing to do with the kid. I want nothing to do with her, primarily because they were white, and primarily because I didn't see myself as a coach or a trainer, despite the vision. So I just kind of kept shutting it down. And it wasn't until my wife gave her my phone number. And so Cathy would call, and I'd be like, man, this is the white lady. Like, talk to her, see what she wants. And she's like, why do you act like that? Why are you this way? I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to train that kid. I want to do anything. And Cathy was just really nice. And so I eventually agreed to training Louis. And she's like, well, I don't want to, I don't want you to do it for free. I got to pay you. So she says, I'll pay you, $20 an hour to train this kid. And then other parents started catching wind. And so just like that, I'm just hopscotching all around town, South County Park, Guilford Park, Beachside at Beachland Elementary, wherever I can find a hard court to train these kids. And all of the parents would drop their kids off, but not Cathy. She'd stay there, and she was always so formal. She'd get out, and how are you? How was your day? And I'd be thinking, like, why does she talk so much? Like, I don't want to talk, just drop the kid off, leave. I don't want to be friends. I don't want to do nothing. Just let me train the kid. But she would stay there, and my daughter and her daughter were the same age, and they would play and, and do all of that stuff. But by her watching, I began to realize that I had to have a deeper, commitment to this thing, and I needed to give them feedback and started creating plans for them to work out on at home and stuff like that. And that's kind of how the whole thing began to come to play. And I think in terms of just the crossover mission program beginning to take shape, I remember going to church one day, and my pastor was mentoring me, and I'm thinking like he's the mentor in my life. He's my pastor. He's the same guy that married me and my wife. And so I'm like, I'm going to take my vision to him, and he's going to be the one to help me get it going. And I went in, I scheduled a meeting with him. I go and sit in his office. I'm like, hey, pastor, I get straight to the point. Like, I want to start this thing called Crossover Mission. I want to help kids. And he's like, no. He's like, stop. He's like, don't tell me anything else. He's like, read the book of Habakkuk, write the scripture and make it plain. He's like, all the visions that's in your head, write them down, buy a notebook and write them down. He's like, you're one person away from your dreams coming true. And he's like, go, get out of here, bye. I'll see you later. It'll happen. And I walked out of there, and I was just ticked off. Like, I was telling him, I'm not coming back to this church anymore. I quit. Like, this guy is crazy. I thought the church is supposed to help you. He's supposed to be a pastor. Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what Habakkuk is. And write the scripture and make it plain. Like, what is this, a book, a fairy tale? And so, but I went and bought a notebook, and I just started writing every day. So when I started having conversations with Cathy, she goes one day, she's like, you're such an awesome coach. You're so in tune with my son. And like, what else is there to you? And I'm like, maybe she's the one person that my pastor was talking about, but she lived on the beach side. And I'm like, nah, she's just gonna take my vision and run with it, and and I won't be a part of it. But it ended up, she let me take Louis to a Vero Beach High School basketball game, to Holiday Hoopla, and that resulted in us standing up at the McDonald's right here off of Route 1, and ironically enough, that guy, and he's on one of our board members now that owns that McDonald's, but I shared my life story with her and what I wanted to do at Crossover. And she felt inclined to help me. And she said, I believe in it. I like the story. I like the mission. I really want to help. And she said that, you're going to need, your people. And it's a lot of administrative work. And I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. And she began to help me create a business plan, create our website, all our registration form, everything that we needed to be able to kind of get it off the ground. And she took me to meet a guy at a community church by the name of Don White. And after that meeting, Don White introduced us to Bob Baggett, and we shared the story. And we were able to walk away he told us that he'd give us a check for $10,000 for startup costs. And he said you need a 501c3 and a bunch of other stuff. I had no idea what a 501c3 was. But we walk out of that meeting. He said, if you do all of these things, then the check is yours. And we walked out of there, and Cathy, she's in tears. Oh my God, this is so awesome! I knew you could do it. You're gonna be so great. And I'm just like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't trust anybody. You've been the person that, she's been the person that helped me the entire way. And I just asked her to be my partner. And she's like, me, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't know anybody else. But she had always told me she wanted nothing to do with it. So I feel like I kind of sucked her into the whole thing, but she called in her stepmom, who was a retired teacher. They created our academic curriculum together, and filed all of our paperwork, opened our bank account, any documents that needed to be signed. She always, told me to review it first. Don't just sign anything. Take it to my people. If I didn't know anybody, she'd call in an attorney or somebody. So we did everything, on her dime, her time, her resources. And stuff like that. And, and that just, really just built the trust, because I knew that she wasn't trying to take anything from me or to, and she always insisted that I sign first. So, that's really how we, started Cathy. The Crossover mission is out of Cathy's house with all her friends, volunteering to be academic mentors. And my job was just to get the kids. And we had like 20 kids in the first week. And we ended up with, about 40 plus, by the end of the month, and we cut it off at 50 with 1 hour gym time, which we had at the Gifford Youth Achievement Center. So we're blessed that they gave us that, and the rest we did at Cathy's house or in McDonald's or the library or any other space that we could find.
It's a beautiful story, Antoine. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Seriously.
Well, I'm grateful to be able to have the opportunity, and, I as somebody that's, I'm largely on social media a lot more than her. Sometimes I feel like it's, I'm always overshadowing her in so many ways, at least in the physical aspect of Crossover Mission. But I always try to, even tell the kids, like, you got to pay homage, right? And I don't feel like Crossover would be what it is today if she would not have, felt inclined to help and to jumpstart and pull in all her people and use her resources and really just put me in front of people, even like today, to give the opportunity to be able to speak, to draw other people in. So, I always say at the end of the day, she's the one who deserves the credit. It's almost like I got to an agent and a manager and a team owner all in one, and I just get to kind of be LeBron James, man. So I'm grateful, to have my marketing team. She's been everything that I would need in terms of a support system to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, but we're equal partners, so it's a very, unique opportunity. So, like I said, I just want to always make sure that I say thank you to her any chance I get. So, and the world should know that. So.
Oh,
well, they do know it now. So I would love to hear your point of view of that whole timeline as well.
So when Louis said, I want to be trained by Antoine's dad, I'm like, who is he? And then I see him walk in. He's this 6'5", looks like the NBA. He's got the do-rag, the gold teeth on the top and the bottom, and his little daughter on his, baby in the baby carriage. And I'm like, wow, interesting. But scary at the same time. Like, I didn't know anybody like him. Looked a little bit like a gangster, maybe a lot like a gangster. And so I was like, Louis, I don't know if this is a good idea. But he was very persistent. And in time, I met Antoine's wife. And she gave me his phone number and we communicated and eventually met. But had I used my own judgment, I would never have met him. was Louis that was very insistent about it. And then to go beyond and have him train my son to coordinate where we're going. We're going to go there. You're going to train him, to pay him, and to then get to know him, to then hear his story was really profound. And I feel like it's changed my life. But it also brought to life the racial biases, for example. I grew up in Vero Beach, and I would have said, I'm not prejudiced, or I don't have biases like that. I wasn't raised that way. And yet I clearly did when I met Antoine. I had certain fears and assumptions about things. And so it was fun, actually. We would talk sometimes after he trained Louis, and I could ask all the questions I ever wanted to ask a Black person. And he was really funny and honest about it. And I'd be like, what? Are you kidding? He would say the funniest things. And so I got curious about the Black culture and the Black history in our neighborhood. In our whole town and Gifford. And having gone to Gifford Middle, I drove by there every day through the town of Gifford, and yet I didn't really know much about it. So it was very interesting. And then learning more about the history, I began to become deeply saddened by much of the violence and oppression that was experienced here in our town in decades. And so when he wanted to start this, I felt really compelled. His life, he didn't tell the whole story, but his life, he said to me, I want to help kids like me. I want to help kids to value education and to not put basketball before education, but to also feel like they can change their lives. They can change their realities, even if things aren't good in their lives. And that resonated. So that's where we started. And we've been equal partners all along, and it's been an equal education. I have a background in business and a degree in accounting. And so I brought that and years of business experience. And I'm also a mom. I have 3 kids. So brought kind of the mom experience. And that's where we started with Crossover. And it's just been a really soulful journey for me.
So cool. It literally sounds like a fairy tale, like how everything panned out for you guys. I'm curious about some of the hardships maybe that you guys had over those 11 years of running Crossover Mission. Is there anything in particular that was like you guys maybe almost didn't make it over the bump, or some close calls with maybe funding and stuff? Is there anything like that?
Yeah. So we learned very quickly that we needed things. We needed a gym. We needed transportation. That was a big one. So I started in year 1 already starting to write grants, and we were pretty successful. But it wasn't enough. We didn't have the gym time that we needed. It was very inconsistent, and we didn't have enough board members. So how do you draw in people to build an organization? It did take time, but it was definitely funding has been a challenge, which we've just hammered away at it every year. But I would say probably after having a facility, having a proper gym and an academic space, staffing has been really tough. I don't know, you want to speak to any of it?
Yeah, I think just the dynamic of people is challenging. Trying to collaborate with the school district, and then trying to, service the kids, right? And understanding the challenges and the difficulties and even their perspectives that might be limiting them in school, right? There's a gap in between, the expectations and what the kids are willing to do, and then to bring, parents up to speed, and then trying to find a staff that understands academics, but also that can balance, the mentoring component and understanding where the kids are, right? We're just not here to teach them, things that are going to help them be successful in school. We're trying to raise, young adults and young women, and they're all dealing with their different challenges, and then the, I guess the space or the differences in, like a parent allowing you in, like embracing you, right? Getting to that level where they're comfortable. We're getting pretty personal in terms of the amount of time that we spend with the kids, knowing their grades, and right. And now you're you're basically almost filling in or stepping in terms of working as a pair, so to speak, with the parent, right? You are co-parenting with them. And then you're allowing your staff. So, I mean, there's just so many different, components, even with our volunteers, right? It's not just about what the volunteer, like they can get really, sold on, I want to work with this particular kid or a type of kid, but that kid has to have a bond and a relationship with you. So having that conversation can be uncomfortable. But I just think there's so many different variables that just makes this work hard. Even, donors and people in the community, they want to give to academics. They want to see those measurable, outcomes and things of that nature. But, for our kids that are not academically driven, we're using the sport and all of the other things to get them to focus on the academics. And I was just having this conversation with Cathy earlier, like our alumni, like one of our alumni. We had alumni dinner the other night, and, he just grabbed everybody's hand and said, does anybody want to pray? If you want to pray, just grab hands, and if you don't do it. And before we eat dinner, we're at 14 Bones, and he just, it's a group of about 16 of us, and he's just praying, so everybody can hear and everybody has their head bowed. Like, we didn't push him to do that. We don't push religion on anybody, but it's a testament that he has spent that much time and he feels comfortable enough, right, that he can do that, with his peers, with his brothers, his sisters. And so again, those are the moments that, in life that I think are extremely important when, I reflect back on another kid that he didn't graduate. And his father has been incarcerated his entire life from the moment that he's been born. And now just to see him, on social media a lot, like he's always with his son and taking pictures and posting videos, like, do you count that as a failure that he didn't graduate and that maybe he's not on the pathway that you might have wanted for him, but he's going to be here with his son, right? His son is not going to be fatherless like he was. So to me, those things can't be measured, or there can't be, put in a grant, but you get to see the impact that you have on these kids' lives and in different ways. So I think those are the things that makes it challenges, because everything can't be put on paper.
And I'm sure, over 11 years, you guys seen grade after grade after grade of kids, and the alumni you guys have now, it's pretty big, right? You guys have a big alumni from crossover. Like, maybe, what would you say a number is, like hundreds or?
Well, those that we have enrolled, that maybe didn't stay with us all the way through their senior year, it's been, over 500, close to 1,000.
Yeah. We go back and forth, about the whole alumni thing. And, I think if we count the number of kids that we have relationships with and that have gone through the program and have stayed with us, like you said, the numbers, obviously after 11 years, it's pretty astronomical. But I think for me, it comes down to those kids that still come back, that want to give back, that stay engaged with us, that take advantage of the resources that we're offering, that come back and, mentor or even play basketball with the other kids. They want to come in the gym and get time to work out or just shoot hoops, and they join us for the dinners. And to me, those are the kids that are in my heart, the true alumni, the kids that take pride in the recognition and understand what the program was and what it is and how they play a part of it. And I think, obviously you graduate in the program, you're alumni, but I think there's a difference in that aspect.
So I understand that. So it's nice to see the alumni that have graduated come back and actually, still help out and give back, come give you guys their time to help the kids that are now in the program, maybe a little bit younger than them. And just maybe it's almost like reassurance maybe for the kids that are in it now, like, oh, look at how he turned out or she turned out, and they went through this exact program and maybe they went through some similar things that the kids are going through now, Yeah.
It can also be where they need help after high school. They're maybe not a success story. In fact, they need help and they come and ask for help and they join back into the structure and get help, because we have a whole program around college and career training and scholarships, and we have a counselor who can help in all different ways toward that. So it's like, what's a success story? Right, like he said.
Yeah, it's just kind of there's no
It's
way
a-
to really put that on paper because
Yeah.
everyone's success story is different.
Yeah, it's a journey. Each person has a journey, and people reach success at different times in their lives. And we had a meeting recently with this week actually to look at habitat housing for alumni. So imagine that you're able to help them find their financial stability in a home that they own at a young age. I mean,
That's the kind of stuff
profound.
that's huge.
Profound.
That would just, I mean, even I still live at home. I can't even really fund my own house yet,
Right.
And I mean, that would just put someone at a huge advantage in just their life story.
Yeah, that's incredibly life-changing. So it's starting young to embrace structure and to have accountability and to be embraced in an atmosphere where there's positive peers and you can fail without scorn or derision and grow and reach your potential. And if you don't reach it the first time, try again, change your course or you fall off. It's been profound to see some of the kids, what they're doing. We have several kids that are in college and we have a scholarship program. So we're helping kids go to college. We help them do all their applications and scholarship applications, and Crossover has a scholarship itself. So we really have grown the program as the need has arisen.
I mean, you guys even have grown all the donators and stuff, all the people that help out. When you guys gave me a little tour of your guys' facility, I saw the board with just like, I don't even know how many, but I mean, big companies' names and stuff just around Vero all over that. And that means they help out, which is crazy. And I mean, we were talking about it earlier, how you guys were renting small little storage units at first, and now you have an old orange packing house that's beautiful. I mean, the facility is so nice that I bet that was like a huge goal of your guys is to actually get something you own where you can continue doing something like what you guys are doing now.
For sure. For sure.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, the first couple of years, maybe 7, 8 years, all we did was hopscotch around town, man. I mean, we had some great relationships. We were able to barter time with the school district and use some of the gymnasiums here, like, Storm Grove Middle School and Gifford Middle School in Oslo.
IG.
But, the IG Center. But the reality is all of those places are busy with their own programs, right? They got volleyball and basketball and and
Science
banquets fair. And science fair. So a lot of the times, like, we just could not get into gymnasiums for very long periods of time, which we ended up outside. And so a lot of our kids, they always dreamed of having their own facility. It was all like, we need our own gym. We need our own gym. And it wasn't until, they all graduated and then a year of COVID that we were able to, get our own place. So we always say, like, those kids are the ones that, we used to talk about. We always say, put the program on your back and create opportunities for other people. So, those are the kids that we learned, like we went through the process with them, and we kind of built the program from our experiences with those kids. And if it wasn't for their success and all of their contributions and all of the time that they put in, Crossover wouldn't be where it is today. And so, we talk about it all the time, like kids want to grow up, especially when you come from poverty and your dream is to take care of your parents or to change the situation or your family. And I'm always reminding them, right, that they've changed our Crossover family. Like, you've created a house for our kids, for the next generation to come up in. So that's something for you guys to be proud of. You didn't have to go off and, make a ton of money for you to be able to come and give back. You've already given back through your sweat and tears and export equity that you've put in. So, that's their house. They built that for the kids to be able to come back. So we think it's important that they continue to be welcome there and supported. And a kid at 18, they're not ready to go off and be an adult. They're a young adult, but they're not ready for that type of responsibility, and they deserve to be supported. They deserve guidance, right? They deserve to have an opportunity to fail. I think a lot of kids get pushed out into the world, whether it's go get an apartment or go off to college, and they make some mistakes. And then they feel like a failure, right? And life begins to unravel because they don't know how to get themselves out of the situation, or they're facing embarrassment. So they go into hiding and start getting into other things. It's like, you fail, we're here to support you. Let's come up with another plan. Like, okay, that didn't work. We come up with another plan. Like, we have to continue to do that for our kids and help them build their confidence and make them know that you're gonna fail, you're gonna fall short, and that doesn't define you. If people would have, if Cathy didn't think that it was worthy to collaborate me to bring forward a crossover mission, I probably would have fallen back into the same ruts and making some of the same mistakes in life because I'm ambitious and trying to reach my goal. And I think that this way is going to help me do that when it's really just ultimately going to cause me more problems. So I think, just learning in that experience, like we have to be patient. Everybody's not going to reach that level of success at the same time. We shouldn't give up on them just because they reach a certain age.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of kids my age, especially with social media, they see all these 20, 21-year-olds in Ferraris and all this stuff, and they feel the need that they need to go out and do the same thing and be at the same place they are. But like you said, it's not the truth. Everyone has their success story at a different age, a different time, and only time will tell when that is. And if you fail once and you think you're a failure, it's not a good way to look at it, and even with the restaurant, it's been like that a couple times where it's like, oh shoot, like I definitely shouldn't have done that. I don't have money to pay for this now and stuff like that. And there's so many times where I wanted to just give up. Like, What am I doing? This is so hard. Like, I can't push through this. But I think just constantly pushing through it and being ambitious it just will lead you and being good and truthful, and I think that stuff really I think other people read that and the universe and God and everyone reads that. And I think good things just start coming into your life. Mm-hmm. Like even, I remember when we were having lunch at the restaurant, this is maybe 3 months ago, I didn't have any of the podcast equipment. I didn't have anyone to shoot the podcast, anything. But I remember I told you guys, and this, like having you guys here now is just a surreal feeling. Like
dream come true.
Like, yeah, you guys are actually here. We're actually doing the pod. We have actual equipment. It's cool. And I think that's just a little, story in itself right there. Mm-hmm. But what you guys do is actually so beautiful. And I think it inspires a lot of people, not just me, but I want to help. I want to do good stuff like you guys,
Well, we appreciate what you've done already with one of our students as far as, letting him shadow you. We have a student that wants to go into the culinary field, and he shines every time he talks about his experience and all his pizza making, right?
Yeah. And going back to the first time we met you at your shop, it was just a reminder. I think we might have talked about it a little bit already, but I feel like God already put something inside of you, right? Like he gives you a gift. And sometimes we sit on the gift because we don't think it has any value. But, I'll say, like, what are the things that you're good at? Because it's usually tied closely or is closely connected to your gift. And if you can trust that, right, if you begin to lean on that, then it'll probably open the doors for you to have all the opportunities that you want in life. But I think sometimes we feel like those things, again, they have no value or they're inadequate, or how would I bring that to fruition? And then the second part of that is just saying, right, like my biggest problem for so long was thinking that my business or my success was going to happen with the people that were directly connected to me, that were a part of my life, my whole life, and not being open to anybody else coming in. But God has shown me over and over again that he will put people in your life that are different from you, that look different from you, that think different from you, and your opportunities will come through those people. But if you're so closed in, then you'll continue to miss those opportunities. So, I had to change my perspective a little bit and not get mad at my friends, not get mad at my family because they couldn't see my vision. They didn't see my plan, right? And I keep trying to push that on them. But once I started opening up to other people and allow other people to come in and not being so territorial, is how things began to start blossoming in my life and for everybody else around me. And so I always tell kids, like, right, sometimes the help doesn't come from people that look like you. I was only open to Black people. And so I had to change my perspective. And then, just being willing to take direction and guidance. Like I've been blessed to have such a great team around me, right? And that's a very important in sports. Like you can't do everything by yourself. You might can score, but you need somebody that can play defense, somebody that's going to rebound, somebody that's going to pass you the ball where you can get it. And so your teammates are extremely important. So I've been blessed to really have a really awesome team. and to being able to understand that. And I think the education of crossover and me learning and having such great mentors and people around me who also lift me up as a leader at the same time, like that's I can't put any type of value on that. And I don't think I would have learned that by going to any school, and to be able to tie it into a message and allow the kids to kind of see my growth over the years. I think it can be inspiring for them, because if I can do it, then they can do it. So
It's beautiful. I think I've had kind of like a similar experience, originally, like just with the pizza place, I thought this was my life, just pizza, making pizzas. And, Bailey and Keith came into my life, and Bailey's been a huge help. She's helped market for the pizza place, just boosted me up as a leader. And Keith moved to Vero, and he wanted to do an ad. He started his filming company. He wanted to do an advertisement for the restaurant. And I called him and I talked to him about the podcast, and he was super down for it. And it's just so weird, like how, and he's literally a block away from the restaurant. He lives a block away from the restaurant. He walks his dog by it every day, like it's weird how God puts people in your life, and just, I don't know. It's crazy. Sometimes it doesn't seem real, because like, look, we're sitting here doing a podcast now talking about it,
Now, is it okay if we put
Yeah, we can head out. Yeah. Yep. You gotta get going too. Here. Thank you so much, Antoine.
Thank you, man, Justin. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, man. The story's actually so beautiful.
I'm sorry that we got behind time, because
Yeah.
I feel like there's more to say that'll probably be inspiring, especially if, just kind of the beginning. But I mean, if I can double back and
Yeah.
with you at some point, I'm more than willing. I just gotta get back over here.
Yeah.
But I mean, this felt really good.